Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities. We'll work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all these sectors and topics looking for potential investment opportunities. I usually go over those during the question and answer sessions and the midweek updates. And we do have a discount still going on. Discount is that coupon code if you'd like to try it out. Let's dive in and take a look. Starting with the dollar. The dollar is looking a little bit weaker. This is a inverted flag pattern that potentially could head lower. And it looks a little bit weak after falling out of this rising wedge. So we could see the dollar fall here in the short term. We're also seeing some strength in commodity currencies in relationship to the dollar that are also starting to outperform, which is a big deal because that impacts the way money flows in the market. It's generally driven by lower yields. Two-year yield is in a similar situation to the dollar. I'm not 100% convinced that this is just going to crash. It could. That's what we're watching for. We're at support, and I can draw this a couple of different ways. I can basically do something like this, where it does look a little bit different. We could still potentially be inside this pattern where we could break higher. So it needs a little bit more time to see which direction it breaks. Generally, these that come from the downside up, generally they break upwards. But a lot of people think that we're going to be heading towards this box in here of a lowering interest rate environment, a potential slowdown in the market. That's all possible. And that's something that we're going to have to watch and see if that actually transpires into that. The 10-year yield looking strong, up 0.72%. We are sitting on top of a pattern here, and it's being resilient. The longer end of the curve, the 10 and the 30, heading higher today. So up 0.72% for the 10-year, up 0.87% on the 30-year, and those still look quite strong, like they want to continue higher. TYX TNX ratio, we are up a little bit today. Here we are up a teeny bit inside this pattern, and we are down at a really low level. Generally, gold, gold bottom there, bottomed here, and then gold starts to go up. And when this uninverts, that's when gold does real well, generally speaking. So it's the combination of the yield curve. Think of it as inflation slowing down to some degree, and then money printing coming back in the system. And this is when they started printing again. PLT bond prices down as yields were up. And again, we're bouncing around down here. Is this a bottom? Are we going to continue lower? Are rates going to continue on up in the long end of the curve? If I were to guess, rates look good to go up. Bonds look good to go down. Just generally speaking, we are underneath a lot of resistance, which used to be support. So I'm viewing this as a bearish, sideways to bearish action for bond prices on the long end. 2 and 10, the 2 and 10 did uninvert today, coming on down, and it did that with the 10-year going up and the 2-year going down. So kind of a weird mix. Generally, when you look at previous crashes, all these crashes here when they came down, that's when the yield curve was dropping and the 2-year fell faster than the 10-year. We've dropped here from the 10-year going up. But this isn't, maybe we get a slowdown that's inflationary. That very well could be the case. Gold down about $10 an ounce, but looks good to continue higher. That's not a reversal candlestick. We had silver down a little bit. It's right underneath resistance. I think this looks good. It's good that we're getting some buying pressure, but we're just up against resistance. I'd like to see this break out. Sometimes you hit resistance and you kind of scoot alongside the resistance for a little bit before breaking. Platinum down slightly, but we're still in the squeeze. We've got this mega squeeze that's occurring there, and hopefully we can break out to the upside. I don't see how we could break down and be held down for any length of time. We could do a potential double bottom if there was a scare in the system or something like that. It's possible, but that's not what I'm projecting. I think we're going to break to the upside. Palladium Moving on up, $11 an ounce. We broke out of this falling wedge, and it's been working its way on up, just like anyone would think. And we are coming off that support level down there. GDX down slightly, GDXJ down slightly, and SILJ down just very slightly. I'm not seeing a ton of selling pressure here. That's a good thing. It's not well positioned. It's not like we've got this great looking chart where we've got a clear, double bottom or something like that, but it could be bottoming here. I'd like to see some big up candlesticks, big green guys come in to give me a little bit more confident that we're going to go higher. This could be, it is still possible that we go lower, and this could be an inverted flag, rising wedge or a flag pattern that we eventually come back to the $8.50, $9 level down there. That is a possibility still. And GDXJ, they all kind of have this rising kind of like wedge deal going on. Looking at XAU to gold ratio, we're back to really ridiculous levels. Still very cheap. Nothing really new has gone on here. We've broken out of that trend line there, and we're doing a retest right on a bunch of support. Crude oil down 1.6%. I always look at this from log, but we're right back to resistance, so to speak. We'll see if it holds. We've got some support through here too, and we'll see if we can get some support here soon. This is logarithmic if you go off the tops there of the closing prices. Looking at TTF, it's up today, and we are still in that upward channel. It could be a double bottom there where we eventually break upward. We've got natural gas right heading a little bit lower above that support zone. The price projection is $7.50, which is up here. That's the price projection if we can break through here and get moving, given the point and figure charts. Our boy XOP, yeah, you know me, up a little bit today. We are still at that support area, right on top of it. Like to see oil break to the upside and this break through. I think we're going to do a little bit of a run, baby, run if we can get that. In fact, it would be probably a very big run. OIH sideways today. We're up against resistance. We hit our head on it and we pulled on back. Not a ton of selling pressure today. We'll see what kind of follow through we get or if we can track sideways tomorrow. Newcastle coal futures down 2.4%. But I do think it's trying to bottom here. Give it some time. Raw physical uranium trust down 1.1%. And we are still within the flag pattern. All of this looks bullish to me in that circle. It's a bullish setup to break higher eventually. But a lot of people, they get impatient here. Uranium futures price still inside the falling wedge. And it still looks good to go higher. Still looks good. Whenever you get these big buying pressure candlesticks and the small selling pressure, that's when we blow. That's when we blow. URA up 2%, looking good. Up 2%, nice. We've got URNM up a little bit today. A little bloody nose right at resistance. If I were to bring that forward, we're at resistance there. And then URNJ up a little bit. Looks pretty good. Strong closing here on URNJ. So we very well could start breaking higher. People are positioning in the equities. Not a bad thing. Copper up a little bit, right on support. Hopefully we can break upwards in copper. If copper breaks on up, more than likely we'll probably see oil and all this other stuff follow with it. So this is positive evidence in uranium and copper. All of these look really good and poised to move higher, which makes me think oil is going to go up. I would find it very difficult to have a bearish view on oil and have a bullish view on everything else. That doesn't jive with me. COPX up today, just moving kind of sideways, consolidating. We've got iron ore down slightly. This is a bullish setup. You get big buying pressure, and then you get these small selling pressure. The selling pressure, as time goes on, is becoming less and less. So if I were to look, big selling pressure, smaller selling pressure, smaller selling pressure, and then it kind of slowly works its way to nothing. That's the dead period. That is what these wedges are. And then generally, you'll get a big imbalance of the buyers coming in after the sellers are exhausted. So the wedge is sellers exhausting. Aluminum still at that resistance level, hasn't broken out yet. It looks like it wants to try to rip through here and really go. You're probably going to see a gigantic move when it does rip. Nickel down slightly, but it's been working its way on up a little bit. We've got Moo up 1.43%. Pretty big day today. Pretty strong closing. Looks really good to probably work its way out of here eventually. Emerging markets up, nice little bullish engulfing. That looks good to go higher. We did have a weaker dollar, and the commodities like BRL to USD really starting to move on up and bottom out and start to move higher. That's going to have an impact on emerging markets. I think we're going to move on up. It looks good. KRE down slightly with a bullish configuration. That's that flag that we usually see. And up 3%. Lower yields, lower dollar. That generally works well for the renewables because they don't make any money and they borrow a lot of money. Lithium down slightly, right on support. There's a support level that we got for lithium. REMX also at support, looking pretty good to try to, I think, work its way around if we get lower yields, lower dollar. Baltic Dry Index, I think this was yesterday's, that's Wednesday's, down slightly, but we could just do a last flush out here. We had a falling wedge, kind of went sideways, and maybe we've got one last flush out. Or maybe we'll do a kind of a shoulder, a head and a shoulder or something like that. But still getting some weakness there in Baltic Dry Index. I did see strength in the equities though. XHB, the home builders looking pretty good, heading on up. Got a little flag, little bullish engulfing. This is more important getting the bullish engulfing on a reversal than it is getting one up here. So we'll see. We've got a rising wedge here. There is a possibility that rates continue higher and this does roll over eventually. Russell 2000 up 0.47%. Looks pretty good. We're above a lot of support. That looks good to go higher. We got the S&P 500 up. That's moving. NASDAQ also moving higher. We've broken out of these kind of the flag pattern there, so that's moving on up. SMCI down slightly. It's consolidating still after this little breakout. NVIDIA up slightly, but we're above a lot of resistance, so that looks good to try to work its way on up if it wants to. Bitcoin down slightly, but it still looks good to go higher. It's just a small little candlestick within a larger one. So that's a bullish formation. Got a little bit of resistance trying to break through that resistance there. Ethereum still squeezing up. Looks good to try to work its way on up. I'm looking at this from a bullish perspective. You come up and then you consolidate. The 3-hump consolidation. It's got real nice technicals, like the structure of it. Looks pretty solid to move higher. MicroStrategy down slightly, but it still looks good to go higher. Whenever you get the big kind of stair-step patterns, generally a bullish formation. And then the VIX is down slightly. It's pretty well under control for the volatility of the S&P 500 index. But that's what I've got for today, guys. So give me a thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the website. I can use that word discount, the coupon code. Just a reminder, I'm going to be 90 minutes delayed on Sunday, which will be a start time of 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time for the question and answer session coming up this Sunday. Something came up. I have to attend it. I can let you guys know during the meeting what it is, but just want to let you guys know I cannot be there at 5 p.m. It will be 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time starting. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.